Mariah, sweetie, get ready.
Uh-oh.
Because it's time to get into it.
Get into it. Get into it.
We are going to talk about your turn on Drag Race All-Stars 5, honey.
God.
Oh, there she is. There's your promo photo. Looking good.
Oh, that set of stairs.
So this was obviously very exciting. You'd stayed in the World of Wonder family, and you're right here in Hollywood, so you were always doing stuff with them. What was it like when you got that call to come back? Because you've been rumored for many different times.
Many different seasons of All Stars, I was rumored, so it was a little easier to kind of keep it hush-hush this year, because it was just like, if somebody would approach me and be like, oh, I heard you're, I'm like, sure, sweetie. I was rumored to be on season 1, 2, 3, and yeah. And then they just ignored me on season 4. So, of course, I'm on 5, sure. So it was like, I had so much practice in like deflecting that it was like, I stayed under the radar for a very long time. But it was kind of like, oh shit. I was kind of always, every year I was always had something in the works just in case. Mm-hmm. I got the official nod. And so this year I was like, nah, let me just save my money. And then that's when I had to spend all the money and get ready.
I know.
I was like, fuck.
Now that's only like a few weeks to pull it together, right?
Yeah, I always thought, but by that time, if you're being considered as an all-star, you should be able to figure out your resources.
From what you've already got.
What you've got, what you can borrow, or stack a little something to the side, some little money to the side. But at the end of the day, for me, I was like, going back to All-Stars, you need to look like an all-star. You need to carry yourself like an all-star. And I think that's what I did.
Yeah, I mean, you were really introducing yourself to a whole new generation. Because, I mean, we had Gigi Good here a couple of weeks ago, and she didn't start watching Drag Race till 7, you know what I mean? So there's a whole audience of people who, if they haven't gone back, this is you're being presented to them as a new star.
And, I really want, like, the fandom, because we seem new to a lot of the younger people. There's people that are like, oh, I'm at that point, I guess, in drag, where they're like, oh, my gosh, my grandmother loves you. Adore's my favorite, but my grandma loves you. Like, seriously. I'm like, okay, cool. I get it, though. I get it. But it's like, but I'm so proud of being one of the older and one of the earlier seasons and one of the older alumni, because I'm like, a lot of the children now don't realize the sacrifices that we had to go through. We didn't have management companies that knew what to do with drag. Mm-hmm. We didn't have like talent agencies. We didn't have like a circuit to actually make money. And so there was a lot of times like different little half-ass promoters would be like, oh, I can represent you. And then they would take off with our deposit money or get arrested, and then we had like pending contracts. The new girls do not understand, and they forget what happened before.
Right.
Everything was set up for them. Like, it's turnkey now.
Yeah, because it really wasn't, as much as we all love drag, especially if you were in the nightlife scene, it wasn't like there was a national track to really make that coin, to get proper management, to be respected by, agencies or management companies. They didn't get it. They didn't understand it. You guys really paved the way.
Yeah, they were like, well, I remember reaching out to several different talent agencies, and they were like, well, what do you do? I was like, I'm a drag queen. Like, but what do you do? I was like, are you asking me, do I play an instrument? Like, they didn't know how to. I was like, all of this drag is an act. Like, so I'm definitely an actress.
Yeah.
You saw me when I came in. But I'm just like, but there was a lot of like roadblocks. Early on, I would reach out to cosmetic companies. I reached out to hair companies. I wanted to start something, but I kept getting shut down and kept getting told no. Now the girls are being hunted down by these same companies that told me no, that didn't see the value in drag.
Right.
They were like, oh, we don't want yeah, that's not us.
Right.
Our brand, we really don't, our brand is women. We don't want
Yeah,
drag queens
God
associated.
forbid. Mhm.
You know, so but now, oh, right, that's the real tit. And so it's like all of these companies now are headhunting drag queens to try to figure out who's the most popular drag queen to represent their brand. When I was trying to do that shit years ago.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you finally able to get back on the VH1 version to get some of the shine that you deserved. You did it with two of your other season 3 sisters, Alexis Mateo and India Farah, honey.
Yes, I was so surprised to see Alexis because, you know, you think like All Stars is like that chance, like for somebody who's not been on it already. And so I was like, oh, well, work, bitch. I was like, you knew how to play the game the first time, you played it again, and now you hear, I'm like, oh, bitch, she's gonna send me home. And India, I was surprised because, you know, they give us a list because, you know, we have to be prepared to read bitches.
Right.
And so I was just like, And they give us a mock list. I really thought India was on the mock list.
Oh.
I was like, well, because, you know, you typically for All Stars, everything keeps changing every year. The rules have been suspended. But you're like, okay, well, typically it's been people who've gotten a little further. And I was like, well, I didn't get that far. So I was like, no, couldn't possibly be her here. Yep. The bitch that got picked up, got picked up.
Yeah.
See what I did?
Yes, we see it right there. Erica sees it. Erica has not seen Drag Race.
That's true.
But I respect,
I made her rewatch all of
I'm
them.
all caught up.
but see, I respect it though. I respect that. I like a bitch that can be unbothered and still be engaged.
Bloop. Now, what did you feel like when you finally got in and you saw who was really there? What were your immediate thoughts?
I knew it was going to be a stiff season. A lot of them had big dicks. Okay. I knew I was going to have a good time. I knew that I had so much respect for everybody that was there as entertainers, as artists, and I've worked with all of them. I think that Cracker and Blair were the two youngest ones that I had not really spent an extended amount of time with, and I really fell in love with Blair. I really did. She was a sweetheart.
And she really came to show a new side of herself to the audience as well.
She did. She almost gave me like the young girl that's just like, look, Mom, I grew up. I was like, okay, girl, you don't have to do so hard. Enjoy being young and looking young. You know.
Yeah, right.
I was like, it's cool. But no, I really enjoyed being around that whole group of girls. Like, yeah, it's delightful.
Well, Mariah, let's talk about the iconic variety show spoken word performance of Stains on the Wall that had Mr. Ricky Martin gagging and Miss RuPaul looking at that red paint on the runway. You were incredible.
Well, you know, I was, like, first of all, like, Ricky Martin had me gagging several times.
Yeah.
Especially when I got back to my hotel room. But no, the thing with that, with Stains on the Wall, it was a poem that I had written right after I moved here. And I was actually hungover on a plane. And it was like a phrase jumped into my head, and then I just kept going. And before we took off, I had written the whole thing. I keep a lot of my intimate thoughts to myself. And then I don't know, it's like I keep a certain part of myself to myself. I think most people in the industry do. But I was like, finally, when they called me for All Stars 5, I was like, you know what, let me just go ahead and be vulnerable. Let me share some of my thoughts and figure out a way to package it and make it entertaining but still thought-provoking. And I was like really proud of what I did. The biggest hurdle was the paint.
I bet.
Yeah.
because that runway is expensive, and they know they have to do 100 more things on it. What was the setup for that? You were like, so I'm doing spoken word, and they're like, wonderful. And they're like, and I'm going to be using a lot of red paint. They're like,
Well, we had several conversations because of the broader audience. I don't think they were quite sure after I told them what I was going to do. I thought they assumed it was going to be gory or tacky. I don't know. But initially, they didn't want me to use red paint at all. They were like, can you use a different color paint? I was like, I can try to do something metaphorical with red and blue, and then it turned purple. I don't know. But ultimately, we were able to agree on a color. And then being able to tape it. I wanted solid backdrops, like white canvases. And they were like, well, the camera can't shoot that. So in a nutshell, sorry. Yeah, my whole setup was done the day of. And I was sliding around on the little safety tarp. And yeah, it was just nuts. It really was the perfect storm, and it all came together.